Welcome back to another episode of Automotivated. And I'm lucky enough to be here with Mike Risich, CEO of Bolt-On Technology. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you? Safe?
I'm doing well. Yes, safe, secure, at home, still quarantining. I know that some areas of the country have started opening up, but we're still moving into our green phase here in the Philadelphia region. So it's been a while since I've seen you in person.
It has over almost 100 days.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, I think we can all think back to when we first made the decision to work remote. I think we were saying in the office, oh, we'll see you in 2 weeks, not expecting this much to happen from then.
It's just an extended 2 weeks. That's all.
Exactly. But I mean, within all of this time, COVID-19 as a whole has shaken up the entire world, but we've really seen it shake up the entire automotive industry. And, with dealing with a lot of the unexpected concerns, high tensions, different things along those lines, one of the biggest things for businesses to keep moving forward is the leadership that they have and the guidance that they have to move forward. So today we're going to be talking about leading through tough times, and who better to talk to than the CEO of Bolt-On Technology himself, who's been powering us to keep it going.
Yeah, leading through tough times, we're in it. We have jumped, both feet in many cases around the country, so did all other leaders. And, put some perspective on it, Bolt-On is now 10 years old, and in September will be 11. So, but I still think we're like an adolescent stage, like we're just trying to get away from our parents, but at the same time, really want to be an adult. But of course, if we get sick, who do we cry for, right? We want to get back to mom. So, but leading through this tough time, I think it's really about getting back to basics. So when you start your business, for us, you're scrappy, like you're clawing, you're trying to get through every day saying tomorrow is just going to be a little bit easier. And it's because of all the hard work and things that I've implemented today. And in some ways, that's what leading through tough times forces us to kind of remember. Now, in the auto space specifically, sometimes it's a little different because you may be a second generation owner or a third generation owner. And so if you're in that spot where maybe you were not the original entrepreneur, right? You came in and the business had, some level of understanding on what production was going to be like. And you may be, focused on areas where you can improve performance or efficiencies, but you didn't have to scrap. You didn't have to like really claw through each day. This is where that new leader can really flex their entrepreneurial muscle and say, this is why I'm leading this company, right? This is really, let's get back to basics. Let's get back to focus. Let's service every customer. Let's also, think outside the box. In a COVID-19 world, we need other ways to consider on how to work with our customers, given the reality of the health risks that are out there and how they may want us to communicate better. There's free tools, things like if you use an iPhone, you can do FaceTime. If you have an Android, you can use Duo, and you can engage with your customers visually, like you and I are, Shana, right? Like, we're 45 minutes or so driving time apart, but we're face to face. And, people enjoy face to face. They really do. But in a COVID-19 world, there is some hesitation, especially if you're dealing with a customer that may be a senior, or maybe somebody who lives with a senior, right? A grandparent may live with them. And so they're being really cognizant of whatever they may catch and take home to grandma. So taking advantage of where technology is today and being able to communicate and do video chat while, not every business can do it, I do know that auto can do it, and auto can really engage with people. We've seen it with the impact of digital inspections, right? Our picture volume has grown significantly, which is great, right? It is really benefiting vehicle owners to understand what services the professional has identified for them to also see. And that doesn't always mean negative, right? It could be a positive visual confirmation that that service is being taken care of. So, you know, leading through tough times, square one, got to watch cash flow, right? You got to make sure you understand how much is going out versus how much is coming in and manage that. I read a lot, as we've talked on these sessions previously, and Jeff Bezos has been commenting on, I can't tell you how many times that he looks at cash flow, right? It's like his number one KPI indicator now. He's running $1 trillion business, but it's something to take away, right? It's a very efficient business. It's a very efficient organization, as large as it is. So, there's some simple things that we can take away from what these other leaders, these other, in some cases, exceptional leaders have done, and really focus on those key KPIs that, if your car count is still reduced from pre-COVID time, don't shortcut the service experience with the cars you have. And if you reinforce that behavior when your car count grows back to where it was pre-COVID, great news. You're now offering a much better experience than you did previously.
Absolutely.
And
I think that a whole lot concept of, being innovative, right? I think not only does being innovative keep your business sustained during times of uncertainty and just change, I think is the best way to put it. But in addition to that, as someone who's leading the business, showing that you're looking in new directions, you're being innovative, you're looking to push the boundary, that's also the motivation sometimes your team needs to get out of bed and come into work and continue trusting that they have a place to come to, and that in the future you're looking to do what's best to keep these employees on and different things along those lines. So I really think it's twofold there, not only in the ability to maintain operations, but also in the ability to motivate your team and inspire them to, contribute in any way that they can.
yeah, one of my colleagues in a board, a CEO roundtable board that I participate in the early days of this, and he runs a completely distributed team. He does not have an office whatsoever, so there was really no change for him except the impact of COVID-19, right? Which might be a little change, but
little change.
but he was very crystal clear in saying, when you run a remote team, and I think this is also applicable to your original question, a team that's operating in uncertain times, oxygen or communication is like oxygen, right? You can never communicate enough, and especially as a remote team. One of the things that I've tried to do is have a one-on-one conversation with every team member. And it hasn't been very easy. I've done some calls 9 o'clock at night. I've done other calls 6:30 in the morning. And I'm not complaining about those things, but I wanted to make sure that everybody saw me face to face and had an opportunity to help me understand how they are adapting, how they're coping with the situation. And it's all sides of the spectrum, right? We have team members that have children at home, and now they're not only parent and team member, but they're also educator, right? And disciplinarian. I'll tell you, in my own house, my wife, she issued out of school suspension for the children, like third or fourth day of her being the homeschool teacher. And I was like, I don't even know if you could do that, right? Like out of school suspension. but those are frustrations that we've had to deal with over this COVID-19 time. As schools kind of wind down now here, late June. we'll see how it plays out for later in September. But
Mhm.
you have to understand that there are a lot of circumstances that are going on, and
Mhm.
fortunately at Bolton, we didn't have anybody actually get sick directly. Indirectly, I am aware of people. My wife's first cousin contracted it, and I'm happy to tell you he's recovered. And while he had some symptoms and went and got checked out, he's recovered. So
Mhm.
but it is real, right? And the impact is real, and those you have to take that into account. And so again, communication is like oxygen. If
Mhm.
you are running a team and struggling with low car count, you should have a stand-up meeting every day and every afternoon. Like, what are we going to do? And to some degree, what can we do to take advantage of the time that we have? Can we invest it in more training? Can we get the power washer out and really do a thorough cleaning of the building inside and
Make
outside?
it more exciting to come back.
Yeah, right. Like things that we always put on that wish list that we walk past as we're coming into the building. Maybe now we have that time, right? And let's get them checked
Mhm.
off, because when the economy does really open back up, I mean, we're seeing it in the States and in the areas where the lockdown has been much more stronger, especially here in the Northeast of the United States. Try to go to a restaurant now, and it's an hour and a half wait, and so there are people who are really eager and ready to get out,
Sure.
and there are people who are being extremely cautious. And so you need to figure out, you need to be innovative, like you were saying, and come up with ways that certainly motivate and help your internal team, but also you're sending that message to your customers that we've got plenty of opportunities to still work with you to ensure that your vehicle is safe, that it's economical, and it's going to stay on the road.
I think that's huge. Yeah, as much as the communication internal is important to the leadership, how you communicate and how you decide to reach out and just connect with your customers, that also takes a stance for you too. And we have Ann Waltz from Connell Auto Repair, who's watching us live, and she said she's been busy, which is what we like to hear.
Great news.
5 years ago, her husband didn't text or email customers, so her geeking wore off on him, which is great to hear. So people are looking at these innovative ways, and we talk about innovation all the time, with everything that it is that we're doing, but, to see how shops are also looking in different directions that might not have been traditional for them at the start, then they're able to, use these technology options to make sure that they're doing what's best, not only for their business, but for their team and their customers as well. So, um, yeah, I'm looking. My salon is 401% better for June in 17 days and next door to our shop. That's amazing. That is my all-time ideal situation, being able to drop my car off, go next door. I haven't in a very long time, so that's amazing. That's great to hear. We appreciate you chiming in and letting us know what you're seeing at your shop, and knowing that the digital inspections really are working, and helping you keep in communication with all of your customers. So, um, I think this has been a really interesting time. And, I think we can all agree that if you were a business owner and you looked at yourself as a business owner rather than the leader of the company, you were really thrown into the ringer with everything that has been going on within the past couple months. And leadership, like processes like cash flow, really is a huge contributor to the success of your company. And if you're not checking cash flow, if you're not being innovative, if you're not communicating not only with your team, but with your customers as well, then that can put you in a really tough situation to get out of.
Yeah, and having honest conversations with both vendors and customers is really key. And if your shop is slow, and we're great to hear that you're not, which also means there's more opportunity for you as well, right? But if your shop is slow, when the transaction's done, tell the person to tell their friends and family that you're open. and that you're providing great service and you have new tools, and encourage the word of mouth, right? How many times, and Shana, as your marketing excellence has often told me, word of mouth is still the number one thing.
It
We
is.
do it a lot socially now, right? We do it on platforms, and it's still communicating it. But the good old fashioned way of face to face is another way of doing it. And so think about it, if we were having this conversation where we couldn't see each other, right? And I said, hey, Shannon, it'd be great if you told 3 or 4 of your friends or neighbors that were open. You could just say, uh-huh, yeah, okay, and roll your eyes, and I would never know. But in a situation where I can see you,
Mm-hmm.
I can say, listen, it was great servicing your automobile today. Thank you so much for your business. I would really appreciate it if you told your neighbors, your friends, your loved ones, people around, that they could also enjoy our service. And we'll take such great care of them, right? And so now that face-to-face is even more meaningful. So I'd encourage people to really take advantage of the technologies that are available, whether they're free or paid for, that create, the opportunity to have a much better relationship.
Agreed. Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure having you join us on these Automotivated episodes. I know our team's Automotivated, the bolt-on team's Automotivated. We're here to help, and we're excited for the reopening of all of your shops. Keep us updated with how we can help, whether it's topics we can talk about or just support you'd like to see on the back end for all of our products. This is what we're here for. So until next time, Mike, it's a pleasure seeing you.
You as well.
And we'll talk soon. All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye now.